Please, we ask all delegates to stand up facing the stage. Thank you. Thank you. You can take your seats now. The introduction speech by the city mayor will be in Catalan, so everyone can use the translation device into English, Turkish, Arabic.
Good evening. On behalf of the City Council of Barcelona, welcome to everyone. I hope you have your own translator machine, because I'm going to do my speech in Catalan, our language. Molt bé, doncs benvinguts i benvingudes al Saló de Cent. Senyora Clark Hart, regidora de l'Ajuntament de Montpellier i presidenta en funcions de MedCities, benvinguda i ben retrobada de nou. Señora Cecilia García Gasalla, directora de Cooperación con África, Mundo Árabe y Asia de la Agencia Española de Cooperación Internacional del Gobierno de España. Regidors i regidores, tinenta d'alcaldia Eugènia Gai. Senyor Sanem Florença, president de la IEMED. Mayors from the Mediterranean Area. Welcome. Aquest és un espai, el Saló de Cent, carregat d'història. Sou el lloc on es governava la Barcelona medieval. A pocs metres d'aquí es trobava una de les seus del Consolat de Mar, aquella institució que des del segle XIII va crear un dret marítim comú per a tota la Mediterrània. El llibre de Consolat de Mar era, en el fons, un idioma compartit entre ciutats i ports, regles comunes per resoldre conflictes, per fer possible el comerç i per donar seguretat a la gent que vivia del mar per tot el Mediterrani. Avui, segles després, ens tornem a reunir al voltant del nostre mar amb un objectiu semblant: escriure un llenguatge comú entre ciutats per afrontar els reptes del nostre temps. Fa 70 anys, l'alcalde de Florència, Giorgio Lapira, va intuir que les ciutats podien construir una pau de les ciutats del món, per superar la lògica d'aleshores, que era la lògica dels blocs. El 1955, aquest alcalde de Florència va convocar una trobada de capitals amb alcaldes d'Orient i d'Occident, en plena Guerra Freda. 40 anys després, l'alcalde de Barcelona, Pasqual Maragall, va portar aquesta intuïció a la Mediterrània. L'any 95, Quan vam acollir la conferència euromediterrània que va donar lloc al procés de Barcelona, va organitzar una conferència de ciutats mediterrànies perquè els alcaldes també tinguessin veu. L'alcalde Maragall estava convençut que les ciutats unides poden construir allò que els estats sols no aconsegueixen. Avui, l'any 2025, reprenem aquest fil històric i ho fem celebrant el 30è aniversari del procés de Barcelona, el 10è Fòrum Regional de la Unió per la Mediterrània. Ho fem celebrant per primera vegada aquesta conferència de ciutats mediterrànies integrada en el programa oficial del Fòrum. No és un detall protocolari, és tot un canvi de paradigma. És el reconeixement que les ciutats som actors de ple dret de la cooperació euromediterrània. Un reconeixement reforçat per la presència demà de la comissària per a la Mediterrània, la senyora Suïca. Per això, per Barcelona, és un honor i una responsabilitat acollir-vos avui aquí. Alcaldes i alcaldesses, representants municipals, xarxes de ciutats, societat civil, món acadèmic, benvinguts i benvingudes a casa vostra. Els alcaldes compartim un llenguatge comú, el llenguatge de la vida quotidiana de la gent, el del transport públic, que ha de ser de qualitat i ha d'arribar a l'hora, el de l'espai públic, que ha de ser segur, ha de ser amable i ha de ser inclusiu, el de l'habitatge, que ha de ser digne i assequible per tothom, el de l'aigua, que no es pot malbaratar en una regió que viu una sequera estructural. Aquest llenguatge comú, aquest esperanto dels alcaldes, aquesta llengua utòpica que intenta sintetitzar totes les llengües del món, és el que fa que un alcalde de Betlem, un alcalde de Sarajevo, una regidora de Tunis o un regidor de Barcelona s'entenguin de seguida quan parlen de carrers, de mercats, d'escoles o d'economia local. Avui, quan el multilateralisme dels estats flaqueja, aquest llenguatge de proximitat és més necessari que mai. La nostra regió, amics i amigues, viu una situació molt delicada. Les guerres i les tensions ens recorden que la pau costa de conquerir i encara costa més de mantenir. Les ciutats som les que patim els bombardejos, som les que patim la destrucció d'hospitals, som les que patim el desplaçament de les poblacions. I és a les ciutats on haurem d'estar al centre de la reconstrucció del futur. I al mateix temps, les desigualtats s'han aprofundit. El Banc Mundial ens diu que la regió d'Orient Mitjà i nord d'Àfrica és l'única del món on la taxa de pobresa ha augmentat a la darrera dècada. I tot això passa en la segona regió del món més afectada per la crisi climàtica. La Mediterrània s'escalfa gairebé el doble que la mitjana global. Davant d'aquest escenari, la pregunta és què podem fer les ciutats unides, que no pot fer cadascú per la seva banda. I aquesta és la raó de ser d'aquesta conferència, Barcelona+30, empoderar l'acció local per a la transformació regional. Al llarg d'aquesta jornada debatrem i presentarem una declaració que fixa 6 grans àmbits d'actuació compartida i que us resumiré amb els seus enunciats, amb la mirada d'una ciutat amfitriona, Barcelona, que vol sobretot escoltar i treballar al costat de les seves ciutats germanes. Primer, reforçant la governança multinivell. Necessitem que els estats, les regions i la Unió per la Mediterrània reconeguin el paper de les ciutats, que ens dotin de competències clares i de recursos estables. Segon, avançar en resiliència climàtica i desenvolupament urbà sostenible. Tercer, impulsar el desenvolupament econòmic local i el treball digne. Quart, millorar la prestació de serveis públics i la qualitat de la democràcia local. Cinquè, assegurar el seguiment i la rendició de comptes dels compromisos que adoptarem. I en darrer terme, sisè, promoure la diplomàcia de ciutats per una Mediterrània en pau. Això vol dir convertir la cooperació entre ciutats en un instrument de diàleg i de reconeixement mutu. Barcelona ja ho està fent amb el districte 11 ciutats de Palestina, un model pioner que volem que s'estengui. Acabo. Les ciutats no tenim exèrcits, les ciutats no tenim diplomàcies clàssiques, però tenim una altra gran cosa, la capacitat de parlar-nos, de dialogar amb franquesa, de compartir experiències, fracassos, èxits, de construir projectes comuns que canvien la vida quotidiana de la gent. Aquest és el nostre exèrcit, aquesta és la nostra diplomàcia. I Barcelona vol estar a l'altura d'aquesta tradició. Vol ser una ciutat que aprèn i que continua compartint. Una ciutat que sap que el Mediterrani no és una frontera, sinó una plaça pública compartida que entre tots hem de cuidar. Una ciutat, Barcelona, que entén les decisions que prenguem avui tindran impacte en els barris de Beirut, en els carrers de Tetuan, en els ports de Marsella o d'Alexandria o en els barris de la pròpia Barcelona. Gràcies per ser aquí, per haver vingut de tantes ciutats i de tants països tan diferents, però alhora tan propers com és aquest mar que ens uneix a tots i a totes. Barcelona és casa vostra. Moltes gràcies.
Buona tarda. Assalamu alaikum, مساء النور ومرحبا بكم. Welcome to this conference of Mediterranean cities, Barcelona+30, empowering local action for regional transformation. This conference aims to be a platform to share experiences, align priorities, and advocate for a stronger role for cities in Euro-Mediterranean cooperation. Next, we give the floor to Ms. Claire Hart, Acting President of MedCities and Vice President for International Relations of Montpellier Métropole Méditerranée. A strong round of applause, please.
Bom dia. Salamu alaikum. Hello, good afternoon, and such a joy to be here. Dear Mayor, I would love to speak in Catalan. I'm very sorry, it's going to be in English, but maybe next time I will start some lessons going. Excellencies, dear friends, members of MedCities, observers of MedCities, all of the other networks as well who are represented, it's an absolute joy to be here with you this afternoon. This is a big moment for us. We've been working for the last 2 days in our board of directors with all of our participants today in our General Assembly. It's been groundbreaking, historical. We've never brought together, ever before, so many Mediterranean cities as we have done this time. And I think it might have something to do, dear Mayor, with the magic of Barcelona. And I cannot start without saying a word about this room that we've been working in for the last 2 days. I think it's added to the magic, the historical aspect of this room, all the things that have gone before us. It situates us in history, in time, but also allows us to project into the future, which is our goal here today. Barcelona is a city which has always been one step ahead, especially on the subject of the Mediterranean. It's a deeply Mediterranean city. All of us are, but Barcelona has always taken a lead in this respect. And the institutions of Barcelona have been heading this struggle, if you like, to bring together the cities of the Mediterranean basin, well upstream. And I'm thinking as well about the 50th anniversary of the Barcelona Convention, which was again a groundbreaking moment in the history of our region. But we are here to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Barcelona Process. Think back 30 years. The world was not the same world as the world today. It was a very different world. And it was before the COVID crisis and before so many of the different impacting events that have taken place since. We talked about climate change 30 years ago, but not in the same terms. And we most definitely didn't have the same scientific proof of climate change that we do today. And we didn't know at that time that our region, our beloved Mediterranean region, and our beloved sea, the Mare Nostrum, would be hit in the same way that it is today. We knew that it would be difficult, maybe in the future, but not to this extent. So 30 years ago, Mediterranean cities came together with Barcelona to create a pact, a sealing pact, a way of building together for the future. And the mayor said it very clearly. The goal of all of this is peace. It's peace in our region, and more widely, of course, peace in the world, peace on earth. So today we find ourselves, and within our network, we like to talk about the fact that we are the Mediterranean voice to the world. We believe in this, we believe in it strongly, and every time we come together, our network is building, is getting bigger, is getting more fulfilled with people coming from the four corners of the Mediterranean. We have just integrated 10 new members, and we're very proud of that. We are now 91 members, to be precise, and building, and growing, and extending. I've already had 2 other people who've said they would like to join us. So this is a strong sign and signal to the rest of the world that the Mediterranean knows how to come together, despite the difficulties that we're up against. So we know we are living in a world of polycrises, and the polycrises intersect and interact with each other. We're talking about climate change. We're talking as well about fighting pollution in our sea, in the Mare Nostrum itself, because all of this is impacting the socio-economic factors for our region. It means, very simply, that when the resources dry up in the Mediterranean, our fishers do not have the same capacity to live from their trade that they might have done 30 or 50 years ago. So all of these factors, and of course conflict, is very much present in our region. And I think all of us, and you mentioned this too, dear Mayor, all of us, our heart goes out to what is happening at the moment in the Middle East and to our partners, and we're delighted at MedCities to see so many West Bank Palestinian cities, but also the Gaza City Collective is with us, not physically, but online and in their heart and soul. So that is also a very strong message that we're sending out to the rest of the world. We are together, and we work together, and we build together. So in a polycrisis-struck world, we need to come together. We need to pool our resources. We need to pool our energies. And we need to draw on all of the best practices that are being done around our region. I'm going to give you one example. With our mayor, we went recently to Morocco. We saw reuse of used water in a way that in Europe we are only starting to think about. They're doing it. It's practiced. It's happening. And this, for us, is extremely telling. In the old days, it used to be the north and the south. Today, it's a double-way flow, and we're all working together, and we're all building together, and we're feeding from each other's experience, and that's how it should be. And when Merkel Boni talks about city-to-city diplomacy, this is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about working together as mayors, as frontliners, as first responders, the people that if there is a crisis, if there is a situation that gets out of hand, be it linked to climate change or to conflict or to extreme weather events, landslides, earthquakes, who is the first to have to deal with it? The mayor, always, and their teams. So when we say that, we're also stretching out our arms and saying, how did you deal with it? What did you do? How did you set up a easy alert system, a quick alert system? How did you use the smart city practices to help you to build a safer future for your territory? And this is what we do at MedCities. We come together, work together through our projects. Thank you, of course, to the European Union for all of their support, for believing in MedCities, and I'll come back to this at the end. But it's a very important way of pooling our energies, our ideas, our best practices in order to build the better future that we all believe in. I will go one step further on this point. We know this as mayors, as city councillors, as people involved at the local level. We know how hands-on, how practical we are. But there's always been a bit of a distinction between the local level, the national level, and the multilateral level. And suddenly, magically, at the present time, and it may have something to do with Agenda 2030 galloping forward, we're in 2025, we're not quite on track on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and the Secretary General of the United Nations knows that and is calling on us mayors to come and work beside the United Nations in order to bring our practical field experience to play and to bring all of these ideas onto the table. At last, and this is a shout out to all the representatives, I'm thinking of the UCLG, all the representatives of big international institutions that have fought so hard to get us that seat at the table. At last, we're there, talking directly as mayors with the decision makers at the multilateral level, because they need our input as well. And of course, the situation is so complex, is so specific today, that if we don't come together and pool our energies, we will not succeed in moving forward. So I would like to say that one of the things that we are very concerned about in Montpellier, in Barcelona, in MedCities, and more widely in all of the cities around us, is that in this world where people are building walls more and more, you can follow my gaze and imagine what I'm looking at here, we believe at MedCities in building bridges. We believe in strengthening bridges between our cities, stretching out our arms, becoming friends, getting to know each other, work together, getting to appreciate each other and understand each other. When we do that, there's a very practical aspect. We work to build projects, but there's also a question of friendship. And I have to say, yesterday, one of our members even used the word love. He knows who he is. And I think that when we work to build bridges, we're working to create friendship, and why not love between people. So may that be the take-home message today, that in this troubled world, we have the right to build bridges. But it's not enough just to build them. We need to maintain them. We need to upkeep them so they don't crumble. And so may we take a pledge together, and this is what we're looking at in the +30 pact that we're going to propose to you. It's a way together to build the biggest bridge possible between our Mediterranean cities, the different shores of the Mediterranean, and to create a better future for all. And I said I'd come back to Europe. And I would just like to say that the commissioner, our new Mediterranean commissioner, who is a former mayor, the mayor of Dubrovnik, very interesting status that everybody can relate to, is convinced about this. And the European Commission today and all of the members are saying very clearly and very loudly that without prosperity in our region, in the Mediterranean region, there can be no prosperity for Europe. We are so intrinsically linked. So, friends of the Mediterranean, let's work together, let's build the most beautiful bridge we possibly can between us. Let us build these friendships that we require and make us together build a bigger, better, cleaner, greener, safer, and more friendly future. and peaceful future for our Mediterranean basin. You can count on MedCities for this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, we are pleased to invite Ms. Cecilia García-Gasalla, Director of Cooperation with Africa, the Arab World and Asia, Spanish Agency for International Development Cooperation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, EU and Cooperation, so she can address the audience.
Thank you. First of all, it is really a privilege to be in Saló de Cent, a historic symbol of local power, to take part in the opening of this conference that put the accent in something key for the Spanish cooperation, and in particular for the Spanish Agency for International Development Cooperation, AECID, and it is local action. And I would like to congratulate in particular our partners, MedCities and UfM, for having been able to articulate this fundamental dialogue. The greatest Mediterranean challenges, climatic crisis, water scarcity, and job creation, are present in an even more accurate manner in the cities. And local authorities are on the front lines, as you have specifically said. That is why we believe that regional transformation will only be possible if the local level is reinforced. This is also true even beyond the Mediterranean region. In this sense, the Spanish cooperation is actively working in the framework of the Covenant of Majors in Sub-Saharan Africa to help cities to implement climate actions to combat climate change and sustainable energy actions with technical assistance to municipalities, institutional reinforcement, and accompanying and financing projects. The idea is that local governments are key actors of climate action in this case. In the Mediterranean, the Spanish cooperation has renewed its regional program, Masaralan, with 3 interconnected main axes: jobs and opportunity creation, with a special focus on youth, ecological transition, and gender equality, with a very important cross-cutting priority, inclusivity. For us, inclusivity means the reinforcement of local entities and their participation in development. And here we have evolved to a cooperation in which local authorities have really become strategic partners. A good example of what we do in the framework of Masaralan program in this field is our partnership with MedCities. For example, through Masaralan, we are financing the Nurturing Med project with the goal of putting in place technical assistance directly in the municipalities of Madaba in Jordan, El Mina in Lebanon, and Gabes in Tunisia, to contribute to the planning of green public spaces that promote social cohesion and climate resilience. On the other hand, last month, we had here in Barcelona the regional consultation on urban challenges and risk in the Middle East and North Africa, organized by UN Habitat and MedCities. Our common objective in connection with the Barcelona Academy for Mediterranean Municipality is to contribute to more inclusive, safe, and resilient cities, reinforcing the foundation of a regional network of resilient cities in the Mediterranean and the Middle East as a permanent platform that facilitates the exchange of concrete solutions among cities. We share this vision with the United Cities and local governments, represented in this conference by Emilia Sanz, and with the Union for the Mediterranean, represented by its Secretary General, Nasser Kamel, with which we have a specific line dedicated to capacity building for fundable urban projects. Looking to the future, I would say near future, we continue to forge multi-level new alliances We are, for example, currently working with the Catalan Agency for Development Cooperation in the conception of the new MedCities project in order to work together with regional authorities such as the Tanger-Tetuan-Alhucemas Regional Council and the East Council in Morocco, and the Union of Municipalities in Lebanon. We already worked bilaterally with them, but now is together just to foster the link between the improvement of governance and basic services and local job creation, especially for young people and women. To end with, this conference calls to reinforce the role of local governments. And this is one of the goals of the Spanish cooperation, in particular of the decentralized cooperation, which is one of the main identifying characteristics of the Spanish cooperation. And the AECID, the agency that I represent today, answers to this call at the regional level through the Masaralan program, with concrete actions, strategic alliances, and a dedicated funding, convinced of the fact that I mentioned at the beginning, that we need to support the reinforcement of local action as true driver of regional transformation. Thank you so much.
We will now continue via video conference with the keynote address by Her Royal Highness Rim Ali, President of the Annalene Foundation. She will be introduced by the Ambassador Mr. Senen Florenza, Executive President of the European Institute of the Mediterranean.
Bé, senyor alcalde, senyora tinenta d'alcalde, regidors, presidenta de MedCities. Well, it's really a pleasure and a privilege to be with you this afternoon at this occasion to introduce a keynote address by Her Royal Highness Princess Rim Ali of the Kingdom of Jordan in her capacities, especially as President of the Annalene Foundation. We meet this afternoon in this precious Saló de Cent, a place, as it has been said, that symbolizes centuries of municipal governance. In this symbol city of the Mediterranean today, Barcelona, because Barcelona is the name that bears today the overall Euro-Mediterranean cooperation. 30 years since the launch of the Barcelona Process in 1995, mark an important anniversary. Back then, the ambition was clear and courageous: to build a common area of peace, stability, and shared prosperity between Europe and the southern and eastern shores of the Mediterranean through economic integration, political dialogue, and cultural cooperation. 30 years later, we have reasons both for pride and for deep concern. We have seen how trade, economic exchanges, and cultural cooperations have connected our societies in unprecedented ways. Networks of cities, universities, civil society, and organizations, and youth have woven a dense fabric of relationships that did not exist in 1995. The Mediterranean today is far more interconnected, and that is partly thanks to the spirit of Barcelona. But we cannot ignore the gravity of the current context, especially in the Middle East. At the core of the event of today, the belief that political instability and unresolved conflicts continue to mark the region. The suffering of the Palestinian people, the devastation and massacre endured in Gaza, and the fragility of the ceasefire weighed heavily in our conscience. Added to all this, the fragile socio-economic and environmental situation experienced throughout our region, and the increased vulnerabilities that prevent us from fully realizing the promise of the Barcelona process. But we have to endure, because we know that this is the right way to go ahead improving the situation. This is precisely why this Conference on Mediterranean Cities, Barcelona+30, and the declaration, a call for action, that have been shaped together are so important. Tonight, in this historic hall, in a city that has long practiced local diplomacy for peace, we send a powerful message. If we want to transform our region, we must empower local authorities as genuine actors of change, as has been reminded especially by the mayor and by the president of MedCities. It is in this complex context of crisis of hope, of justified disconcern and renewed commitment that we now listen to the keynote address by Her Royal Highness Prince Rim Ali. Her Royal Highness Princess Ali brings together several dimensions that are central to our work. As President of the Anna Lindh Foundation, she leads an institution devoted to intercultural dialogue, to building trust among societies across the Mediterranean, and to giving voice to youth, educators, civil society, and the media. As a journalist, Her Royal Highness, as a journalist and media professional, has dedicated her career to rigorous information, ethical storytelling, and pluralistic public debate, precisely what we need in times of polarization, disinformation, and dehumanization narratives. Having gained prominence as a journalist for her award-winning contributions to international networks, including CNN, the BBC, and Dubai TV, Princess Rim Ali founded the Journal Media Institute in 2007, which has become a vibrant, internationally recognized center for excellence in journalism and education. Additionally, she has pursued an interest in narratives that foster human connection, both as a member of the Board of Commissioners for the Royal Film Festival of Jordan since 2005, and as President of the Amman International Film Festival Award Film. And as a Mediterranean figure, of course, with a truly transnational trajectory, she embodies the idea that our region is not in line of division, but a space of encounter. Her voice is particularly relevant at this moment, as we Mediterranean cities are calling for peace, for climate justice, for social inclusion, and for a renewed Euro-Mediterranean partnership that truly integrates the local level. So, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor to give the floor to Her Royal Highness Princess Rim Ali, President of the Anna Lindh Foundation, to deliver the keynote address. She was to be with us presently this afternoon. She will be tomorrow, because he couldn't arrange finally with the flight, but she wanted really to be with us. So, Your Royal Highness, you have the floor, with all our devotion to what you have to deliver. Thank you very much. Gràcies per la seva atenció.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, dear Mayor of Barcelona, Mr. Jaume Collboni, dear Claire Hart, President of MedCities, and dear Cecilia Garcia, Director at the Spanish Agency for International Development, dear mayors and City Hall representatives, dear guests from all around our Euro-Med region. The author Miguel de Cervantes, and I'm sure a lot of you know that, famously referred to Barcelona as that repository of politeness, that asylum of strangers, that hospital of the poor, that native place of gallantry, that avenging tribunal of the injured, that agreeable scene of unshaken friendship, unparalleled both in beauty and sight, qualities that remain true to this day. Thank you for inviting us to this spectacular city, and I'm really sorry not to be there in person. It seems I'm missing not only meeting everybody in person right now, but also a truly beautiful historical venue. I look forward to meeting everybody and marking together the 30th anniversary of the Barcelona Process when I arrive, inshallah, tomorrow. So for many of us, that process, the Barcelona Process, has aimed to define how we live together, how we trade together, how we thrive together. And it is also that process that led to the creation of the Anna Lindh Foundation. a way to ensure that the dialogue launched to support it would be promoted at all levels, knowing that when a process is not carried by civil societies, it has little chance of truly taking root. And so, following discussions in several Mediterranean cities, 20 years ago, the ALF was founded to create a dialogue between Mediterranean peoples and cultures based on the premise that all cultures and people were equal. So I'm truly pleased today to have been invited here to talk about what it means to be a Mediterranean city, along with the civic or urban symphonies that make it a platform for cultural exchange and civil society engagement on the eve of the formal launch of the Pact for the Mediterranean by the European Union, a pact in which the ALF can play an important role. As a network of networks of more than 4,500 civil society organizations across 43 countries, we act unrelentingly to empower, connect, and enable change that is sustainable, inclusive, and just. I'm truly pleased that today among our audience, there are several heads of network from our vast organization, and that there are also participants from Gaza City online. It is with all these networks around the region that the hope for a better future resides. They have rejected the fear-mongering that led to a discourse of clash of civilizations in order to practice a coexistence of civilizations in their work every day. And in this, the role of local institutions is crucial. They are essential partners in creating a shared future of prosperity. And this is exactly why we have complemented our work with initiatives that place cities and local governments at the very heart of our intercultural efforts. In 2021, we launched the Euromed Capital for Dialogue Award, recognizing cities that have developed inclusive visions and acted boldly to advance intercultural cooperation. Their first recipients were in fact Mostar and Limassol. These are more than accolades, because such recognition signals to the entire region that the future of dialogue lies in municipal leadership. We then went on to co-launch with the Union for the Mediterranean, the Mediterranean Capitals of Culture and Dialogue Initiative, a year-long city partnership program. And each edition brings together 2 cities from different shores to lead inclusive cultural programming. In 2025, Tirana and Alexandria held that title. Tetuan and Matera will follow in 2026, and the nominations for 2027 will be disclosed in a few days. And I'd just like to add that anyone interested in competing for 2028 is more than welcome. We're also approaching the time when we celebrate every year on November 28th, the Day of the Mediterranean. And this is where grassroots organizations and municipalities bring music, art, and intercultural storytelling to their communities. From small town squares to major capitals, this shared celebration transcends borders and reminds us that the Mediterranean identity is not held in institutions, but lived by people. And I will come back to that in a bit. Our commitment to placing citizens and grassroots actors at the center of decision-making is deepened through a project also called Transformed. It's a project that we launched recently, and it focuses on improving the capacities of local authorities and civil society actors that work together for social integration, and on fostering their cooperation to formulate governance models jointly. Now, there are many more initiatives that the Executive Director, Mr. Josep Ferrer, who is with us today, with you today actually, would be happy to detail, I'm sure, to any of you who may be interested. But what is important to know is that at the core of all these efforts is a simple but powerful idea. And that is that public spaces are not just built environments, they are civic arenas alive with people and activities. Today, though, more than ever, as some of you have pointed out, I think it's clear to us all that our cities are extremely polarized. And that is why the Foundation's public policy work also aims to transform public spaces into hubs of intercultural inclusion, including public libraries and universities, among others. These spaces can play a very important role today in reversing the trend of polarization. But after the last 2 years of deep divisions, of pain and mistrust, what is needed today, I believe, is a total reset. And I think some of you, Claire Hart also mentioned, cities can and do help make that happen. They can work together with a coordinated approach, especially when they share similar visions that promote equality and inclusion and respect of the other. We all know, of course, that our cities are very much what their inhabitants and their mayors are able to make them. And whether you are on the north, south, or east of the Mediterranean, being a Mediterranean city usually means something similar. For example, it usually means that in your particular neighborhood, your weeks and days are punctuated by the sound of church bells or the call to prayer of the muezzin, or in the case of some cities like mine, Amman, by both, making them essentially places where dialogue can only thrive naturally. You do not have to have a port on the sea like Barcelona. You can still be a Mediterranean city. Being a Mediterranean city usually means that many of your inhabitants have ancestors who came from elsewhere. It means you have either seen war or pacification at some point in the past, often pacification after war. Being a Mediterranean city means that if you dig anywhere to build a new road, a new house, you often stumble on ruins of past civilizations, layers and layers of it, from the Neolithic and Iron and Bronze Ages, to Romans, Byzantines, to Muslims, to Crusaders, and you've to contend with constructions built by Ottoman and then European empires. All of those, they have all shaped the way our cities look. As a citizen of a Mediterranean city, it isn't abnormal to go to work in a very modern building and pass by an old Byzantine or Ottoman mansion or bridge and spend an evening at a jazz concert in a Roman amphitheater. It is perfectly normal to worship in a church that began as a cave, or a cathedral that was once a mosque, or a mosque that was once a basilica, or to have a picnic in the garden of what was once the house of a Greco-Roman governor. It is also about how that past defines our present. Today, a Mediterranean city often welcomes people fleeing war and poverty, or seeking different life opportunities. It might offer them homes, jobs, a sense of belonging, the right to exist on equal footing side by side. Each brings something to enrich the host cities, becoming the bridges between north and south, east and west. They remind us that, in fact, we share a similar DNA, which is that of our Mediterranean cities. There is one exception, though, and I feel I have to mention it now, because it affects all of us everywhere. And that exception today is Gaza. And thank you to the two mayors who mentioned that. Gaza City, which today has become synonymous of death, starvation, misery, and dehumanization. Gaza City once had all the elements of a Mediterranean city with all that I have described above. In its golden age during the Mamluks, it was the capital of a large province, much like Barcelona is today. Napoleon had a complicated relationship with Marseille, but he embraced Gaza, referring to it as the outpost of Africa, the door to Asia. Like Naples, it had Greek influence, which gave it the nickname the Athens of Asia. Like Tangiers, Gaza City was once known as the exporter of oranges, and hosting in times past a large port like Algiers, it was referred to as Gaza of the Sea. A port since Nabatean times, it also once rivaled Alexandria as a significant cultural and historical reference point, the prized city known by ancient Egyptians as Land of Peselet, which later evolved into Palestine. It could have been a space of inclusion by excellence, if it were not that this very Mediterranean of all cities has been destroyed to the ground, its libraries, testimonies of rich history, its places for picnics, its spaces for dialogue and worship, for civic symphony and cultural exchange, flattened not once or twice, but several times in the last 2 years. A city victim of an ethnic cleansing campaign, the ultimate mission of an occupier wishing to make disappear forever any testimonies to the layers of civilization that built Gaza, as well as its people, most of whom were already twice or 3 times made refugees. An occupying power that, in so doing, digs trenches and walls between north and south, east and west, disguising its own horrendous acts as acts of civilization and presenting itself as a rampart to protect the Western world from what they claim would otherwise be the epicenter of barbarism. The Mediterranean city of Gaza, what it has suffered, what it continues to endure, is the victim and epicenter of both genocide and indifference. Indeed, the United Nations Office of Humanitarian Affairs and several international law experts have qualified this war on Gaza as genocide. But the demand for justice by many, and we have seen that in so many Mediterranean cities, and also the refusal to grant it by others, has created a tear within the fabric of societies in the Euro-Mediterranean region and almost everywhere between civil societies and their governments. This fracture is not irreparable. It also goes, by the way, north and south. It can be sewn back with a ceasefire that is actually enforced and not systematically violated, with the rejection of all extremisms, with the acknowledgement of the pain and suffering of all those who live in that corner of the world equally, with the necessity to keep those responsible accountable, and of course, with an end to the occupation of Palestine. Some of you have called on building bridges and friendships and to maintain them. Dialogue in our cities is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Because, yes, our destinies are all tied together, and only dialogue can help mend that tear and bring our societies closer, allowing them to look for common solutions. Civil societies and local authorities can pave the way together and bring this dialogue to fruition, step by step. I know the will is there, and I know that because last June, the city of Tirana, this year's Mediterranean City for Culture and Dialogue, generously hosted our ALF forum with 800 mostly young people who had come from all corners of our Euro-Mediterranean region. And they came despite the calls for boycott from one side, despite the fear of censorship from the other. They showed up. Their voices are the voices that should guide our reflection and help us gradually sew back the torn fabric of our Mediterranean, because they have shown that they care and they have ideas. Building bridges within our societies means listening to this youth and taking into account their suggestions, their ways of connecting, as they work with local authorities to face the challenges our 21st century has presented them with, from climate change and AI to ethnic cleansing and genocide. They have the lucidity to see that it's not okay to kill a child in Gaza or 20,000, in the same way that it would not be okay to kill a child or 20,000 children in Barcelona, in Marseille, in Naples or Algiers, Tangiers or Alexandria without anyone batting an eyelid. To offer young people the hope that they deserve and fulfill their potential equally, to allow for a shared prosperity in all our Euromed region. The EU Pact for the Mediterranean, like all the partnerships between local governments and institutions, will need to be supported by a solid foundation from the ground up. It can help us come back from the current devastating state of affairs. Our civil society organizations can and must play that foundational role, but in turn, they also need the support, financial and moral, that we know can be provided by many cities in the Mediterranean, as well as many governments. At the Anna Lindh Foundation, of course, we stand ready to work with all our members. And by ensuring that intercultural dialogue takes the central place it deserves, the pact will thrive, because that dialogue is the only guarantee for shared prosperity and security in our cities. Distinguished mayors, city managers, and practitioners, you already have the tools. You already have the mandate. Let Barcelona+30 be more than a milestone. Let it be the launchpad for a truly resilient, inclusive, connected, and just Mediterranean future. Let us work together as partners to empower local action so that regional transformation becomes a lived reality, not just an aspiration. And let our cities lead the way, not because they must, but because they can. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Royal Highness. We will now move on to the first panel discussion of this evening, Cities as Players for Peace in the Mediterranean. This panel will be moderated by Mr. Luca Gervasoni, founder and director of the Novak Institute, and it will feature the participation of Ms. Maria Eugenia Gai, second deputy mayor in charge of international relations of Barcelona City Council. Mr. Maher Kanawati, mayor of Bethlehem. Ms. Jasmine Ademovic, councillor and chairperson of the Commission for International Cooperation, Sarajevo. And Ms. Alba Barnuzey Ortuño, Mayor of Granollers, Vice President of Majors for Peace, and President of the Social Sustainability Life Cycle and Community Area of the Barcelona Provincial Council. Please, a big round of applause for all participants.
Well, benvingudes, benvinguts, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan. We are going to start now the panel session, Cities as Players for Peace in the Mediterranean. As you see, it will be a debate between four, let me say, very symbolic and highly important representatives of city councils in the Mediterranean that will discuss on how at city level we can promote peace inside the cities and from city to city cooperation. Let me say, and it has been said previously by the mayor and by almost all the speakers who spoke before, that the situation in the Mediterranean is extremely difficult. We have been experiencing a genocide. We will have also the mayor to share this experience. But let me say also that not only is difficult the situation in the Mediterranean, but I think it's also relevant to share that what does it mean to contribute to peace is also evolving, and let's say it's also somehow in crisis, no? How from institutions, from civil society, we can contribute to peace, especially after Gaza, let me say, it's really difficult, and there is a very strong debate. And from this perspective, I think that having this debate based on two certainties, I think that at least we should accept that there are two ideas that I'm sure that we all share. That is that in this specific moment of history where we are, investing on peace should be a priority. We need to reinforce our capacities to strengthen social cohesion, to confront climate crisis and emergency, etc. And the second one, even if what does it mean to contribute for peace is evolving, we all know that municipalities and city councils should play a central role on this for many reasons, but there is no debate, at least on these two ideas. And to discuss on these ideas, to share some good examples that you have all been experiencing during the last years, and even to make recommendations to the future and to the Assembly, we have today these four representatives. I will start introducing them. We have Maria Eugenia Gai, who is the Deputy Mayor of the city of Barcelona. She has been also the Dean of the Catalan Lawyer's Office. She is also the 6th Vice President and Deputy Delegate for International Relations and Agenda 2030 of the Barcelona Provincial Council. Thank you so much for being with us. We have also Mr. Maher Kanawati, Mayor of Bethlehem, and he has dedicated his entire life to promote public service and community development and enhancing Bethlehem position as a global spiritual and cultural destination. Thank you so much, especially to you for being here with us today. We have also Jasmine Ademovic, Conciliar and Chairperson of the Commission for International Cooperation of Sarajevo. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And we have Alba Barnusei Ortuño, Mayor of Granollers, representative of Mayors for Peace, and President of the Social Sustainability, Life Cycle and Community Area of the Barcelona Provincial Council. We will have together 55 minutes for debate. I will make questions to all of you, and you are please asked to try to don't take more than 4 minutes per answer, okay? And the idea, please, is to try as much as we can to have a natural conversation that I'm sure that they will enjoy this more than having a very formal debate, okay? Then I will start with you, okay? And my question is, okay, Barcelona had, I think, a very relevant experience establishing 30 years ago the District 11 with Sarajevo City. Many of the people, at least of my age, discovered what international solidarity was supporting the situation in Sarajevo. And recently, the mayor and, of course, the deputy mayor announced that District 11 will be back to the game, let's say, at institutional level with Palestinian cities, including Bethlehem Municipality. I would love to know what have you learned from this experience as Barcelona Municipality, how cities, based on these experiences, can contribute to peace in the Mediterranean.
Great, thank you, Luke, and it's an honor to be here with all of you today, celebrating this great meeting and well organized for all the institutions that are involved with this important goal. The Mediterranean process, initiated in 1995, laid the foundations for a partnership for peace and regional stability. Since then, cities have proven to be powerful agents of change. And the mayor and Claire said it, no, we are really a powerful agents of change, implementing sustainable practices, fostering dialogue, and translating major European strategies into concrete projects that benefit citizens. Decentralized cooperation has been the key at that moment. Without the leadership of local authorities, international policies lose effectiveness on the ground. So local governments are the essential link between strategy and action, strengthening the region's ties and serving as a bridge for peace and solidarity. In this sense, our experience has been really important because Barcelona's international action is grounded in a human rights-based approach, positioning the city as an active defender of the dignity and rights of people. And it's true that we had the experience with Sarajevo, helping the city to rebuild their roots and their identity at that moment that was really complicated for them. And in that sense, Barcelona now views District 11 as a long-term platform capable of expanding the technical cooperation, not only with additional Palestinian cities, but also with other Mediterranean contexts requiring institutional support. The goal is to consolidate an ecosystem of collaboration able to activate networks, coordinate actors, and ensure continuity beyond political circles. So I think it's really important that these experiences help us to reinforce this project that we have with District 11. Barcelona will formalize new cooperation frameworks with the cities of Ramallah, Nablus, Bethlehem, so then we can just cooperate with our techniques and experts in our house, and then give to all of our talent to have these cities to just intensify this professional exchange that we are preparing, deploying specialized teams from Barcelona to support urban reconstruction projects while hosting Palestinian professionals for technical residences in our municipal departments. So it's a city-to-city cooperation, strengthening our bonds to help them to progress and to just to help them to be again cities and obviously more focused in Gaza, in this difficult moment that they are crossing, but just in this way we would like to continue working.
Thank you so much. We will move now to the mayor. Mayor, I had the privilege to spend 5 years in Bethlehem, okay, and I can imagine, well, I imagine that I can just literally imagine how difficult it should have been to try to protect civilians in face of colonial and illegal occupation violence, that for sure it has been suffered by the Bethlehem citizens. And I would love to know, what have you done and what kind of support you have received in order to try to protect your citizens during all these extremely difficult years?
That's a very difficult question. You know, as Palestinians, we are powerless and helpless. And sometimes we feel we are crippled. We cannot do and help our people in many ways. The basic rights we do not have. The right to water, so that's the basic, you know. Many areas in Bethlehem, they don't have water for 50, 60 days. And even though we want to buy our own water from the Israelis, they only sell 1/5 of the water that we need. Well, you know, first I would like to thank the city of Barcelona and all of the heartfelt support that you have given to the people of Bethlehem, that you have given to all of the Palestinian cities through standing with us and offering support and being there for us. This is, I think, for now, for us Palestinians, the most important thing for us is to stay in our country. You know, ethnic cleansing, genocide has been happening since 1948. And if you look at the numbers of the Palestinians in Palestine and the numbers of Palestinians outside of Palestine, you'll understand that they have succeeded to drive out the Palestinians from their land. And the most important thing now for us is to strengthen the resilience of the Palestinians. And nobody can do that but cities. The cities can do that. You know, 3 months ago, before my first trip out and touring Europe to get the support for the people of Bethlehem, I went out with no hope, almost no hope, no energy. And when I saw the love and support and the solidarity of the people with the Palestinian case, and I came back with a lot of energy and hope that I transmitted to the people of Bethlehem. And through this support, through this positive energy that I received from the people of, you know, all of the cities that we work together, and of course with the city of Barcelona is one of the most important ones. I came back with a lot of energy that made me announce the reignition of the spirit of Christmas, which we really needed. We haven't had it for 2 years. It was a silence for 2 years. And it was a debate. Can we have celebration? But Gaza, you know, Gaza is in the heart. But I think we are being, you know, tortured all over Palestine. Why can't we reignite hope from the city of hope? To reignite that hope that people needed. We lost 4,000 people in Bethlehem. And there was no bombing, no missiles. We lost 4,000 people in these 2 years. How long can we wait before we do something to give people hope? Just by announcing the celebration of Christmas, you could feel the vibes of the people, the feedback from all over, not only Bethlehem, from all over Palestine, even from Gaza. They were happy that we have reignited hope, reignited resilience, that a lot of people lost hope in Bethlehem. And when you lose hope, that's the end. There is nothing else you can do when you lose hope. So I think through the people, and you know, the front line at any city is the municipality. And the people is driven by the heart of the people. And when we see so many municipalities are supporting Palestine, you know, I think I look at those people and I see these are the heroes of today. You are the heroes of today. And when I see the Palestinian flag all over, you know, I was in many demonstrations in Europe, and I see the Palestinian flag, and I see this is no more the flag of Palestine. It's the flag of humanity. It's the flag of resilience. It's the flag that will always be remembered as the flag of justice. And I think the most important thing at this time is that kind of support. And we thank you for all what you do. I know we have discussed many things. You know, the municipality work is not just taking out the trash and paving the roads and doing the infrastructure, but making a bond with your neighbors, making a bond and making sure that human rights are taken care of, and making sure that when we see something bad is happening to a nation, to stand up and say, stop. This needs to stop. And it's never too late. You know, we've been crying out for the past 80 years, but I think now everybody's crying out with us. And I think this is with the help of the municipalities. And this is, you know, like today I'm talking about it. And I'm reaching a lot of mayors around the world. And this is a great support for the people of Palestine, for the people of Bethlehem. And we will never forget what you're doing for us as Palestinians. God bless you. And I would like to invite you all to come to Bethlehem to celebrate Christmas, to celebrate the reignition of the spirit of hope in order to give to the people of Bethlehem, to the people of Palestine, and to send it from Palestine back to the whole world. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Just a week ago, we celebrated in Barcelona a football match between Catalonia and Palestine with more than 30,000 people, where the main message was to try to give hope to the children in Gaza and of all Palestine, and to try to send a message of support. So
keep on doing this. This, maybe some people think it's nothing, but this is everything for us. This is truly everything for us. Thank you so much.
Now, Councillor, we move to the next question. We said that before, for many people, especially of my generation, Sarajevo means a lot. You know, it's international solidarity is it was the first time, at least for me, politically, to stand up, in face of violence and to confront injustice. And let's say that for Barcelona, Sarajevo is a very important symbol, and I would love to say that even internationally, Sarajevo is a symbol of repair, of how to survive as a city after very difficult violence. I would love to know, I know that not everything is solved that easily, but I would love to know what has been your experience at this level on how to work as a city in face of violence and to work on social cohesion.
First of all, I would use the chance to thank the city of Barcelona, the MedCities, for having me here, talking about this topic. For sure, it's one of the most important things in life. It's peace. We can't work towards our economy, towards renewable energy, if we don't have peace. So I truly believe this is one of the most important topics that we can talk in any conference in any part of the world. And also it is very difficult for me as a representative as a citizen of city of Sarajevo. We relive everything what's going on now in Palestine and Gaza. The fact as Mayor, Deputy Mayor Gay and Mayor of Bethlehem, as they said many, many times, the word hope. The fact that in 1992 Barcelona created the District 11 was so important for the city of Sarajevo, not because we thought we're going to get some funds, that we're going to get some money, that we're going to get some help in rebuilding our infrastructure. It was the hope that was the most important thing. Sometimes you can go without water a couple of days, you can go without food, but you can't live one day if you don't have hope. So this is something that I really want to stress on. And everything that has been going on in Gaza, it was very difficult for us. And I also want to really thank the city of Barcelona, because you don't have that many cities around the world. And it's happening again this year in 2025, where they created again the District 11, because we all know Barcelona has 10 districts, just to be able to help. So for us, that was one of the most important things. Of course, Sarajevo, throughout its history, it always had this spirit, the spirit of multiculturalism. We were a city under siege for 4 years. It was the longest siege after the siege of St. Petersburg in the Second World War. But even during those 4 years, the people of Sarajevo, that were super multicultural, we had Catholic Orthodox, Catholic Christians, Muslims, Jews, all living together. They didn't let one single religious building to be destroyed or burned out. They're proud. They were really proud of it. And this is something that as a city you cannot buy, you cannot learn how to do it, you just have to have it in the city. Obviously, I feel that Sarajevo also is one of the best examples as how to rebuild, not only rebuild infrastructure, even though I think this is one of the most important things, and this is how cities should start after you have a conflict, because you need to find a common goal. That's the same for everybody. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what nation you are, you need the roads to get around. And usually in Sarajevo, the same roads take you to 2 Olympic mountains. One is now a part of East Sarajevo, the city split after the war, and one is the part of Sarajevo, but we needed to rebuild it to get to any of these. So this is something very important. Even if you study negotiation, you know that finding a common goal is very important. So in infrastructure, that's how we did it. Also for having water in the city, it's important to cooperate, and that's how we did it. We cooperated to give to the citizens the common needs to actually be able to live. Another very important thing is, and something I want to also remember, was the fact that Sarajevo was an Olympic city. In 1984, we held one of the best organized Winter Olympic Games ever. And in 1992, when we had Olympic Games here in Barcelona, we heard these voices that really meant a lot to the people of Sarajevo, where we had friends that actually cared for us. We knew we are not alone. So this is something that really helped. So a couple of years ago, there was a big idea, and we didn't know how to make this cooperation between East Sarajevo and Sarajevo, the 2 cities that kind of split after the war, how to make it work. So we figured, what was the best thing in our past, the one thing that really made us proud? And we figured out that was the Olympic Games. Nobody wanted to say, we don't like the Olympic Games, no matter who you are or where you come from. So we got an idea, and together with the friends and support from the European Olympic Committee, the city of East Sarajevo and Sarajevo, they applied, and they got to be the host of the European Youth Olympic Festival that was held in these 2 cities in 2019. And this is one of the best examples how something positive that everybody agrees that it's the most positive thing that ever happened in this region. So we agreed to organize it together. We got the people from these 2 cities together. We got more than 1,000 volunteers working together to promote the city, to rebuild our infrastructure, our sport infrastructure, something we were really proud of, and to show the people from all around the world that we put our differences behind. We knew the war was terrible, we knew there was a lot of suffering, but we knew we had to go forward. And this is something that could be really cherished in the future, that we need to agree if we have 2 sides and one thing that is positive, and to try to build on it.
We will move now to Mrs. Alba Barnusrey, Mayor of Granollers, representative of Mayors for Peace. Mayors for Peace is, at least for Barcelona people and Catalan people, is a very relevant initiative. And Granollers, I think, is a city that has been really connected with promoting peace policies. I would love to know, Mayor, how you can turn this international solidarity vision that you have at Mayors for Peace into specific policies that can promote peace. What are you more proud of what you have been doing at Mayors for Peace?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I will try to express myself in English. If not, I will ask you some help. I was a little bit preparing Catalan, and when I heard my colleagues, I was thinking, what I'm doing here as a mayor of Granollers. You introduced myself, but in that moment, in a difficult moment in the world and in the Mediterranean area, what I can say about peace? That was my question. I will try to answer a little bit. First of all, thank you very much to Barcelona City Council and MedCities and IMED for organizing this session to discuss the role of municipalities and cities around building peace in the Mediterranean. And as the mayor told, I think municipalities and cities were the front line to affront the global challenges. And also we are the front line to the citizens. And I'd like what Claire Hart said, in the Mediterranean, we build bridges, we build love, we create friendship. That's what is important and what we try as a mayors to do in our cities and in our streets. And when Mayor of Bethlehem was speaking, I thought, that's what I can explain to my citizens. I can translate your words, I can translate your reality, I can say, I shared with you, and that's what they are suffering, what is happening, not through the television. We can bring words from other people, from mayors, but words from our citizens who are living right now in our cities. So that's the important thing. Mayors or municipalities, we have citizens at our front, talking for peace, talking for everyday life, talking for your opportunities, talking to solve problems. So that's what I thought. For us, Sarajevo was like, wow, what's doing Barcelona with Sarajevo in the 19th? A lot of us, it was our first journey traveling alone in Europe. So this is an opportunity we have here in Europe, working with our young people and trying to bring them different possibilities to travel abroad. I talk a little bit from Granollers because we built through peace our strategic plan, our strategic of intern and internationality projection. Granollers was during the Civil War bombed, and in 1 minute, in 1938, died more than 200 people in a small city. So each of us has someone who was there, who lived, like, for example, my grandmother. So we built our memory since the democracy, since the 1979. We talk about what happened to us, what happened to our grandmother, grandfathers, and how they suffered. So nowadays, we can, through this memory, work in different conflicts. Right now, a lot of citizens, a lot of municipalities around the world are suffering what our past suffered and what our city suffered some years ago. So this makes us the possibility to bring the future, to bring the actuality, to bring the conflicts right now that are around the world. We work with old people, with young people in our schools, and we also try to bring experience from citizens right now. They live in our city, but they were born in Morocco, in India, in Africa, in Palestine, in different areas of the Mediterranean. So we share that peace building and peace dialogue to build a better future for all of us. So that's, I think, that we are here as a small city, Granollers. We make the peace building, the peace dialogue as the main aim of our strategic plan and promoting the citizen abroad.
Vale.
Thank you so much. Deputy Mayor, in this moment, 30 years after the Barcelona Declaration, it has been said many times that we are facing very difficult challenges, climate crisis, impunity, war crimes, and somehow there is the vision that we need new forms of governance to deal with all these challenges. In your vision, or in the vision of the Barcelona City Council, how do you think that states, municipalities can build new forms of governance, how they should look like?
Yes, I think that cities can activate mechanisms that national governments often cannot deploy with the same agility. For example, technical solidarity networks, we are more efficient, we can move faster. Maybe it's because of bureaucracy, I'm not really sure, but it's true that at that moment, international cooperation, it's a true public service. When we started in Sarajevo, it was a will, it was a vocation for peace, and now it's a really public service that we have organized. We have 30 people working in the city council, others, people in the in the provincial Diputació de Barcelona, working also in international cooperation. So at that moment, we think that we are really working in different fields that we can be really active. For example, I say technical solidarity networks, decentralized cooperation, urban resilience programs, alliances between public services and civil society, intercultural mediation platforms, and equality policies that build stronger communities. While state decisions frequently requires long diplomatic processes, cities can respond immediately, create bridges between different realities, and advance tangible solutions that sustain peace from the ground up. I think that this possibility that mayors can be in touch, they have each telephone numbers, they can be in contact. I think it's easier, and it makes easier this framework to work together. So today's Mediterranean environment enables these capabilities to expand with conviction that cities are ready to assume a more prominent role in regional governments, with sharing experiences in urban planning, water management, public health, digital innovation, and human rights based in public policy. So city-to-city cooperation can harmonize responses, establish joint protocols, transfer technical skills, and generate stable cross-border alliances. So meetings like these obviously can really reinforce this sense and have all this important role at that moment, that cities are in the core of the action, and to claim for peace and to really be in the heart of the fight for peace.
Thank you so much. You know, the EMED has done an amazing job preparing all the dynamic, this moderation, and they were providing us questions. And I thought that one question could be good. Well, I even would love to know what would be your answer, because one of the questions suggested was, in case you would have the possibility to meet with EU leaders with the real capacity to deliver, and you can take them towards just one single commitment, what will be in relation to your city?
One commitment?
Yes.
From an EU
leader.
With
the capacity to deliver.
With the capacity. Justice. I think justice is what we need. You know, in Palestine, human rights do not exist. You have no right to move. You have no right to express what's in your heart. No right to food in Gaza. We've all seen that. No right to water until today in every Palestinian city. You know, in Bethlehem we have over 134 barriers, checkpoints. That's Bethlehem. So if you want to go to a city in Bethlehem to another city in Bethlehem, the governorate, there is a possibility that there is a gate that was closed for no reason, just because they just want to close it. Or there is a checkpoint and soldiers just stopping you, stripping you down, detaining you. They put you in jail, just like the mayor of Hebron. He's been in jail for 3 months now. It's administrative detaining. That's the kind of justice we're looking for. We need justice to be handled as equal as others living in that area, and to be recognized as a state. And many people say, yeah, you want to be recognized as a state so you can have an army and fight back. No, not really. We want to have a state so we can have our voices in all of these institutions, and to make sure that whatever happened in Gaza will never happen in any other city. That's exactly why we need a state, and to be recognized as a state. And I think we need all to start with justice. Justice for us, just like the justice we have or you have here in Europe. We're not asking for anything extraordinary. And I hope through municipalities, this justice will be easier to achieve than in any other forum or I think governmental organization, because of, unfortunately, the bureaucracy and maybe the powers and whatsoever relationships. But I think slowly we are on the right track through the people and through the municipalities, such as Barcelona and others. We will achieve that peace and that justice, because any peace without justice is not peace. It's just a word that will not help anybody. So.
Councillor, one of the very relevant public policies after conflict is how conflict and violence should be remembered, and how memory should appear in public space. I would love to know your experience in Sarajevo regarding this.
Yes, absolutely. To be able to move forward, you have to remember and you have to acknowledge everything that happened. We had this luck in Bosnia and Herzegovina and Sarajevo, the fact that the International Court in Hague, they sentenced the war criminals. It was a super difficult process to gather all the evidence and to prove that some people, and we never said some nations or some members of some religions, we gave them a name, There were criminals, and the International Court in Hague, they sentenced them, and most of them are now in prison forever. And this was, of course, a very important step for the people to go forward. It's also very important, as I said, again, not to give names and to say we suffered more, you suffered less. Everybody who suffered has to be acknowledged. It doesn't matter from where they come from. It doesn't matter, as I said, again, what religion they are. We have a couple of good examples in Sarajevo. For example, we have the Inter-Religious Council, and it's a very strong council. It meets almost every month. It's gathered from 4 major religions, as I mentioned earlier, the Orthodox Christian, the Catholic Christians, the Muslims, and the Jews. They get together, and most of the times, 99% of the times, they agree on everything, because most of the religions, they are very similar. They say, be fair, be nice, don't kill, do good deeds. And this is something that really helps the people in Sarajevo. It's very important to memorize, to point every spot where people were killed, where bad things happened before, and to every year remind the people of these things, because this is the only way that you can actually go forward. If you forget, or if you try to say, this happened, but this other thing that really happened didn't happen, you will always have individuals who will not accept that. So this is very important, to involve all the citizens, to talk from the city with the people, not talk to the people, to talk together. It's very important for the government to be transparent, to have to involve the people in the decision-making process. For example, if you want to make a memorial center, memorial park, if you want to create it in the city, you cannot do it just with like the government to make a decision. You have to involve the people in the decision-making process. That's why it's very good to have all the proposals in a draft version, at least a month or 2, or if the decisions are very important, have it even for a longer time, then to see what the people say about the decision and then act in the end. And something that's very important that Deputy Mayor Maria said, that we use it here now in Sarajevo, especially in the last 4 years of our mandate, is the fact that really it's so much easier to work on a city-to-city basis. It's, for example, unimaginable to have the city of Montenegro and the country of Montenegro and country of Bosnia and Herzegovina to sign some kind of an agreement, or to have these remembrance together. But to do it on a city-to-city basis, it's so much easier. So this is absolutely one huge step to involve the citizen and not to make differences. And of course, try to put the whole process through the courts, local, but of course, if you have big war crimes such as genocide as is happening in Palestine, to have it through the international court, because then neither side can say they said it. It's an international court. So they are very objective. They don't have a reason to be subjective in that process.
Thank you so much. Mayor, just last question. In the case of Sarajevo, we were mentioning before the role that culture, even sport, can play on reconciliation. I think that learning from South Africa, where also sport and culture played a major role on reinforcing social cohesion there. I would love to know what role it has, education, sports, culture, in the day-by-day of dealing with the municipality government, okay, on building social cohesion and peace, and even how can that help us promoting peace at the Mediterranean level?
Well, as I told before, I believe, and you just said, that working with young people and educational cooperation projects is the aim and the most important thing, involving all the citizens, but overall the young people. As I told before, also traveling around and knowing other countries, other facts, other people, other young people, carrying projects from people from different countries. We work in the Mayor for Peace network, for example. A network that, I guess most of people know, but a network of municipalities based on the memory of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, restoring cities. But young people make an appointment during the summers, and they work together, knowing each other, sharing experience from their citizens. Also, we work with young people from Dunkerque and Ypres and Granollers, sharing our experiences, cities. So this is really important things. Also, I think the shared projects, it's the better way of building future. In our city in Granollers, we have a special museum of peace, a culture center for peace. And this is the place where people goes to, excuse me, me'l tradueixes si parlo en català? Estupendo. Nosaltres tenim un centre de cultura per la pau des de l'any 2008, des d'on es coordinen tots aquests intercanvis. Per tant, des d'on es treballa amb absolutament totes les escoles i tots els instituts. I aquesta és la base de recuperació de la memòria històrica pròpia i la que ens fa...
I will translate now.
It works? Maybe it works.
It works?
My God. So take it easy.
It was easier than what we thought.
Yeah.
No.
But the moment I was thinking, what are we doing speaking in English, all of us, and no one of us in our own languages, Mediterranean languages? It's sorry that I should say it.
Doncs la base de l'educació és la nostra manera de construir el futur de la ciutat. Treballem amb totes les escoles, amb tots els instituts i gràcies als programes Erasmus hem fet intercanvis amb diferents ciutats europees a través de joves que han compartit les seves experiències que no han viscut en pell pròpia, sinó dels seus ciutadans, dels seus avis, de la seva memòria de les seves ciutats i a més l'hem pogut posar en l'actualitat per fer similituds amb els conflictes actuals, amb el que està passant a Palestina, amb el que està passant en altres ciutats. I, per exemple, vam tenir també, gràcies a l'Associació de Cultura de Pau, un intercanvi amb un grup de teatre palestí. Això en els joves, poder treballar amb gent, respirar, veure, saber què estaven patint, ells mateixos ho han transmès en els seus instituts, en els seus amics. Per tant, per nosaltres, com a ciutat, la clau són els infants, però sobretot els joves, que són els que estan construint el present, però que han de construir el futur. I, per tant, tots els projectes i tota la inversió que puguem fer en projectes educatius i juvenils en el marc de la Mediterrània, fent friendship, al final coneixent-nos, reconeixent-nos i construint ponts.
Well, thank you so much. Let me thank you because it has been incredible. You have all respected the minutes you had. I'm not used to this, so thank you so much. And we are already 3 minutes out of time, so we will finish. Just let me say that it has been a true honor to be together with the manager of District 11, with the representatives of the city of Sarajevo and the mayor of the city of Bethlehem. So thank you so much for this, and just let me, as a sentence to say all what we said, the mayor of Bethlehem was saying this: we want to work for peace, but peace without justice is not peace. Thank you so much all.
Molt bé, Luca, ho has moderat molt bé.
5 years where?
Sí, vas 5 años. Wow. You are so young, so not so much, no?
Next, we will have Okay, let's see now. Perfect. Next, we will have our second panel discussion under the title Cities as Frontliners of Climate Change and Sustainable Development in the Mediterranean. This panel will be moderated by Mr. Roger Albignana, Managing Director of the European Institute of the Mediterranean, and it will bring together Ms. Claire Hart, Acting President of MedCities and Vice President for International Relations of Montpellier Métropole Méditerranée, Mr. Jordi Castellana, Vice President of International Relations and Digital Metropolis of the Barcelona Metropolitan Area and Secretary of MedCities, Mr. Bahab Secher, Deputy President of the Union of Municipalities of Turkey and Mayor of Mersin Metropolitan Municipality. And finally, Ms. Lubna Farhat, elected council member of Ramallah Municipality. Please welcome them on stage.
I'm good, thank you.
So should I address you as Mr. Mayor or Mr. Vice President? Mayor? Yes. Okay. I'll try. Speaking English, that's the beginning of that. Try to do our best. Well, very good evening to everybody. Madam President, Mr. Vice President and Secretary, Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Councillor, welcome to the second plenary session entitled Cities as Frontliners of Climate Change and Sustainable Development in the Mediterranean. We are under this magnificent dome. I feel quite impressed because I've been many times into this very same room, but not in this side of the room. I don't think that I need to reckon that climate change is already shaping everyday life across the region, across the Mediterranean, and not a future scenario. It is very present, with more extreme weather events accelerating year after year, and precisely because our Mediterranean region is warming faster than any other region in the world. Often I hear that the Arctic region is warming faster than the Mediterranean region, but how many people inhabit the Arctic region? So the answer is quite obvious. We are the region that is warming faster. We are the largest habitable region that is warming faster worldwide, but precisely because of that, a range of climate impacts have to be faced by cities. These include more intense heat waves, longer droughts and severe water stress, flash floods and heavy rainfall events, wildfires. How many cities are confronted with wildfires across our region, and also sea level rise and coastal erosion. All these environmental pressures interact with social factors that exist in our cities, such as rising inequalities, housing precarity, and fragile and aging infrastructures. And in this context, I would like to stress that cities, municipalities, towns, villages are closest to residents. This is quite obvious, and it was recalled earlier on by the President, making them first responders to climate impacts. Not always with the necessary resources, with the necessary political competencies, but cities are developing practical and people-centered solutions, often faster than national governments. Here I could mention some examples of how local authorities in the Mediterranean are adapting to climate change through urban development, services and maintenance, nature-based solutions, circular economy initiatives, climate-sensitive planning and mobility policies, all in all, to guarantee an inclusive dimension of climate action. Because climate change cannot be tackled without embracing the principles of equality and fair justice. Well, you know, there is no green transition without a just transition. And in this vein, there is an increasing importance of city-to-city cooperation as real accelerator of impact, which is carried out through technical exchanges, decentralized cooperation, peer learning, and metropolitan coordination. These exchanges help us turn solidarity into results and spread practical solutions quickly across the region. So what is the objective of today's session? Well, first, we want our speakers to identify practical tools and approaches to help cities manage climate risk while ensuring social inclusion. Second, explore cooperation modalities. Third, clarify enabling conditions. And overall, we aim to produce 3 to 5 operational conclusions useful for municipalities and networks that will be included in the conclusions of the session. I have to recall that the conversation aims to be interactive, fluid, and informal, and not a sequence of speeches. So we have prepared some detailed questions so that they can answer to the questions. You will have 5 minutes each to answer to each round of questions, and then we'll see how much time we have left for the second round of questions. And I would like to start with my right-hand side on the center, with Claire Hert. Did I pronounce it well, your name, Claire? Claire Hert, Acting President of MedCities and Vice President for International Relations of Montpellier Métropole Méditerranée. So MedCities members approved just a couple of hours ago this ambitious declaration today that has been prepared by MedCities, the IMED as well, the UfM. Yes, it was adopted today, to set up city-to-city cooperation in a sustainable development and to call upon the EU and regional institutions to empower more local action. Can you tell us a bit more about the declaration? Because this declaration, we are going to hand it over to Commissioner Switcha tomorrow and to Secretary General Nasser Kamel so that it can be shared with ministers on Friday. So can you tell us a bit more, please?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for the launch pad to tell you more about this. I'm going to, if I might, have a couple of slides just so I can just put some information out to you. I think they're lined up. Just bringing them in. Really what we'd like to do here is give you some take-home ideas and messages which come from the work that we've done. Once again, Barcelona+30, 30 years on, we're updating the Barcelona process and we're really centering everything on the idea, the notion, the very notion of sustainable development. What is sustainable development and how sustainable development interacts? And it's very, very timely that this session follows on from a session on peace and social equality, social justice. So basically, we've worked together to update, and if I was to give you a common denominator for all of this, I would say that the idea is that our declaration, our call for action is to center our activity, our work on city-to-city diplomacy, allow also the EU and the international organizations to empower cities to be able to work together hand in hand for the future. So that is probably the first thing as an intro that I'd like to say. Now, within our call for action, again, it's a 6-page document, so it won't take you very much time to read it, and I encourage all of you to take a closer look at it. But basically, there are 6 main points. The first one is strengthening multi-level governance and coordination. So this is a way for us of really showing everything that we've said up to now, and it was very well said as well by Mayor Colboni earlier on, that strength in numbers. You know, the more we come together, the more we can work and the more we can share our best practices. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is advancing climate resilience and sustainable urban development. So this idea is to say that everything we do in our cities today has to use sustainable development and sustainable practices, building for the future, as the, let me say, something that is non-negotiable. You know, if we're going to build a new building, we have to take into account all of these factors. If we are going to dedicate land to urban farming, let's say, we have to take into account all of these factors. So this for us is very important. Everything has to be put through the filter of sustainable development moving forward. The third point is supporting the local economic development sector and working on innovation. We believe strongly, wherever we are in the Mediterranean, that innovation is a key factor. And this, again, brings us back to the importance of working in a multi-stakeholder setting. Okay, we're agreeing that we're all first liners as municipal authorities and mayors, but we also need to work with the private sector, the business sector, the innovative business sector. And we have to work as well with the scientific and academic sector. We need their input in order to make the right decisions. So it's very, very important that we open up our chakra, if you like, and branch out and bring together a multi-stakeholder setting in order to do what we do. And we added into this the notion of decent work. Decent work for us is a very important point. It should go without saying, I agree, but it does need to be said. And you know, it's not necessarily in one part of the Mediterranean, it's all over the Mediterranean today that we also have to revendicate this notion of decent work. So an important point. The fourth point is improving our local service delivery and democratic legitimacy. Now, we've talked a lot about democracy in MedCities over the last couple of days, democratic practices, protecting democratic practices, protecting freedom of speech, protecting mayors. It was said just before, there is a mayor, a prominent mayor, Palestinian mayor, who has been captured, that is in prison at the moment. We're seeing the same thing in Turkey. We're seeing it elsewhere. The winds of change are blowing across the northern shores of the Mediterranean as well. So, you know, it's something that we all have to keep as a very, very precious element, almost a jewel in our crown. Democratic practices must be protected, and we have to work together and back each other up to push them forward and make them stronger. So that is our fourth point. Our fifth point is ensuring monitoring and follow-up of local commitments. Now, we always say, when we talk about quality practices, you know, ISO, which everybody knows in their city councils, we always say that if we can't measure, then we can't improve. If we can't evaluate, then we can't progress. So this idea, the notion here, is setting up good practices for measurement, saying next year we will go this far, the year after that far, and maybe in 10 years we should be here. And checking it, measuring it, evaluating it at every step along the way, because we know that's how to make progress. And finally, we have promoting local diplomacy for the creation of a peaceful region. So that brings us back. I won't go into any more detail. It was so well said by our partners on the panel previously. And just to finish, a final slide for you, just to throw out some notions, which are going to come up on the screen if they can. Are we getting it? Okay, this is a declaration of commitment. And it's important that I give you these ideas because they were very much at the fore of our thoughts as we were discussing. So basically, as our local authorities of the Euro-Mediterranean region, we are reaffirming through this Barcelona +30 our commitment to upholding the principles of peace, as was so well said before, solidarity and shared prosperity. I said it in my introductory words, no prosperous Europe without a prosperous and peaceful Mediterranean. Secondly, working collectively through decentralized cooperation and regional diplomacy, that is an underlying underpin to everything that we do. Deploying effective and impactful plans and actions to mitigate the causes of climate change, as well as adapting to the consequences. So again, we've got to be resilient, we've got to build for the future, but also be able to act here and now, which is very important. And the fourth declaration of commitment is partnering with national, regional, and international institutions, I can't say it enough, to deliver on peace, human rights, sustainable development, and climate justice. So I could speak a lot longer, but I promise I'm going to stop now. To put it very, very simply, all that we're doing here is working together for a cleaner and greener planet, but also, and I want to come back to what the Mayor of Bethlehem was saying before, all of this is enabling us to have more hope in the future and we hope more justice, because climate justice will bring about as well justice for our populations. So peace and justice through Barcelona +30. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Clara. And I think, as we rightly stated before, that now with the adoption of the Pact for the Mediterranean, the new strategic vision of the UfM, there is a window of opportunity for municipalities, for cities to have more impact in policy decision making. So let's make it possible, and let's hope that this declaration that has been agreed by all of you is a first step towards this impact that we all wish you to have in collective decision making. So let's move on now with Vice President, Secretary, Vice President of for International and Digital Metropolis of the Barcelona Metropolitan Area, Jordi Castellana, who is also the Secretary of MedCities. Mr. Castellana, for those of you who do not know him, he has served as city councillor here in Barcelona since 2019 and previously held the role of CEO of Digital Metropolis and was district councillor for the district of Las Corts. So I'm going to ask you a very simple question. When you think of recent heat waves and water stress, what moment convinced you that metropolitan cooperation genuinely changes outcomes for residents? So what's the action, the real impact and action of metropolitan cooperation in this area?
Okay, thank you very much for the question i benvinguts i benvingudes al Saló de Cent de l'Ajuntament de Barcelona. Thank you all of you for coming and being here this afternoon. I think that the question is really pertinent, is really important, because 1 year ago, more or less, in the area of Catalonia, in the city of Barcelona especially, we had the most severe droughts since we have data relating to that. So in the last more than 100 years, we didn't have as severe droughts as those one. But, and we got to the point, we happily didn't reach that point, but we were really close to the point of cutting water to homes. And why we didn't reach this point? Because we had another severe drought 15 years ago, and we had the conclusion that we had to build some facilities in order to manage those climate change consequences that we face every moment. We had a severe drought in 2008, we had a severe drought 2 years ago, and we know, positively or not, we know that we're going to have a severe drought. So we have to build facilities in order to fight those, or to face, better said, those challenges. So, and this context in the Mediterranean is completely shared with all the cities and all the metropolitan areas. I'd like to say one thing before, sorry. And this challenge, such as other challenges, has to be faced in the metropolitan level, because the drought doesn't know about local borders, doesn't know if this street is of my municipality or her municipality or her municipality, and the drought is a problem that affects everyone. And at the metropolitan level, we could make the investment, and also we had the scale economy to make the investments in order to build those facilities. And talking about cooperation with other cities of the Mediterranean, when we cooperate on water management and water facilities, and when we talk about regenerated water, or having water from the sea, desalting it, or all those ways to improve the way we get the water for the people and for the economy also. We learn a lot about context that, and I think that Claire said at the beginning in her intervention at the beginning of this meeting, that some challenges that we thought that were different in the north shore of the Mediterranean, or in the south, or in the east shore, now are really common to all the metropolitan settlements, to all the cities. So we learn a lot when we cooperate with other cities. So cooperation is not anymore about giving, if it never has been like that, but it's with giving and receiving. So it's in both ways that we learn, and we also will learn a lot about that. The impact to citizens is obviously, and I wanted to say just one thing, or denounce one thing that the Bethlehem mayor said before, and we've been working on that on our metropolitan area and talking that to the citizens, that how water is used as a weapon of war in many places of the world, and especially in Palestine, but in other places of the world. We have some projects in northeastern Syria. We also have problems with that, and many other places of the world. And I think that we have to denounce all the uses, how some countries use the basic right of having water, that it seems that's like only, I don't know how to say it in English, opening the tap, sorry, and it's not as easy as that. Well, having said that, I just wanted to appoint one project we have, Valor Gavès, with MedCities and the Metropolitan Area of Barcelona in Tunisia, in the Municipality of Gavès. I don't know if I pronounce it, I think I pronounce it badly, but well, yeah, I hope you understand me. And the conclusion is what I said before. The people of Gavès improve their situation in water management. The local authorities also, and technical staff learn about that. But our technical staff and we learn about how to work in other contexts that probably in some years we are going to get at that point.
Thank you very much, and I really like coming from you, the metropolitan area of Barcelona, which is the leading metropolitan area in Europe, and more specifically in Southern Europe or Northern Mediterranean, that cooperation is about giving and receiving. I really like, and I wanted to quote this expression, that it's no longer that you go to teach or to give, but that you also expect to receive from others, and especially I think this kind of cooperation happens here at the core of MedCities. I think that this is very important. Okay, Let's move on to our next speaker, who is, and he will forgive me for my pronunciation, Bahap Cesar, who is mayor of Mersin, a metropolitan municipality. You know that Mersin is a very important Turkish city located in the southern part, which has a very important port of the Mediterranean. And Mr. Cesar is also the deputy president of the Union of Municipalities of Turkey. So also of the national-wide Union of Municipalities. He served as member of parliament for Mersin, and he was elected mayor of that city in 2019 and re-elected in 2024, and then elected deputy president of the Union of Municipalities in July 2025. I have a very simple question for you. Mersin is both coastal and agricultural. What have you learned about protecting livelihoods while adapting to climate risks? And he's going to speak in Turkish in case you want to use your headsets. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you. Teşekkür ederim. Öncelikle Belediyeler Birliği Başkan Vekilliği görevine İstanbul Belediye Başkanımız Ekrem İmamoğlu ve Adana Büyükşehir Belediye Başkanımız Zeydan Karalar'ın tutuklanmasından sonra vekil olarak seçildiğimi belirtmek istiyorum. Hem bütün dünyaya olduğu gibi, şehirlerimize de, tüm ülkelerde olduğu gibi, tüm yöneticilere olduğu gibi biz belediye başkanlarına da demokrasinin, hukuk devleti anlayışının, yargı bağımsızlığının ne kadar önemli olduğunu vurgulayacak bir olay diye tekrar hatırlatmak istedim size. Umut ediyoruz dünyanın her yerinde demokrasi hakim olsun, adalet hakim olsun. Biz de kentlerimizi yönetirken bu bilinçle yönetmek istiyoruz, yönetmeye gayret ediyoruz. Birçok konuşmacı adaletli bir yönetimden, şehirlerde her kesime ulaşarak hizmet yapmaktan söz ettiler. Ayrıca doğru bir tespit daha var. Demokrasilerde halka en yakın yönetimler, halkın seçtiği, halkın iradesinin yansıdığı makamlar belediye başkanları. Vatandaşa en yakın olanlar. Doğal olarak da dünyada barış hakim kılacaksanız ya da ülkede herhangi bir sorunu giderecekseniz onu önce yerelden başlatacaksınız. Eğer belediye başkanları kentlerini mutlu ederse ülke de mutlu olur. Eğer tüm ülkeler mutlu olursa dünyada mutlu olur. O derece önemli bir görev içeriyor bizim görevimiz. Önce adil dönüşüm, adalet, herkesi kapsayan bir yönetim anlayışından bahsetmek isterim. Bunu da anlatırken somut bir örnekle gitmek istiyorum. Az önce Sayın Moderatör de söyledi. 2019 yılında ilk kez %45 oyla belediye başkanı seçildim. Hemen 5 yıl sonra %60 oyla belediye başkanı seçildim. Peki bunun sadece rakamsal önemi mi var? Hayır değil. Mersin'i incelerseniz lütfen, kitle iletişim araçları artık çok yaygın. Her yerden Mersin'le ilgili değerlendirmeler bulabilirsiniz. Mersin Türkiye'nin bir özetidir. Mersin göçlerle büyümüş, Türkiye'nin en büyük limanının olduğu bir ticaret kentidir. Türkiye'nin kuzeyinden, güneyinden, Orta Anadolu'dan her bölgeden insanın yaşadığı bir bölgedir. Ve çok farklı siyasi görüşlerin bir arada olduğu bir bölgedir. Türkiye'de parlamentoda grubu bulunan ya da bulunmayan bütün partilerin milletvekili çıkardığı bir bölgedir. Bu kadar çeşitlilik, bu kadar kozmopolit bir yapıda, bu kadar farklı görüşleri bir partiye mensup, sosyal demokrat dünya görüşü olan bir partiye mensup bir belediye başkanı her 10 kişiden 6'sının oyunu alıyorsa, somut olarak bizim arzu ettiğimiz, herkesi kapsayan, kucaklayan, kimseye ayırmayan, dininden, mezhebinden, dünya görüşünden ayırmayan bir yönetim anlayışıyla yapıyorsunuz. Herkese hizmeti götürürken eşit mesafede oluyorsunuz. Diğer bir konu da tabii ki aslında dünyamızın da en önemli başat sorunlarının başında geliyor. Küresel iklim değişikliği, bu hepimizi vuruyor ama Akdeniz Havzası'nı sanki bir kat daha etkiliyor. Hatta birkaç kat daha etkiliyor. Kuraklığın en yoğun yaşandığı bölgeler bizim bölgelerimiz. Küresel iklim değişikliğinin derece olarak, görece olarak diğer bölgelerden daha hızlı yükselerek seyrettiği bölgelerin başında bizim bölgelerimiz geliyor. Çevre sorunlarının yoğun yaşandığı bölgeler. Özellikle Mersin bu konuda önemli bir lokasyon. Deniz kirliliği konusunda çok şikayetlerimiz oluyor. Akdeniz havzasını düşünün. Cebeli Tarık'tan suyun akışı batıdan doğuya doğru Akdeniz'in güneyinde kıyı yarı yarı Fas, Cezayir o bölgeden gelerek Libya'yı geçiyor. Lübnan, Suriye o bölgeden dönüyor. Bütün o kıyıların kirliliği geliyor Doğu Akdeniz çanağının tam kenarında bulunan Akdeniz'de birikiyor. Yani bizim denizlerimiz, bizim kendi alanlarımız tüm Akdeniz'in kirliliğini taşıyor. Maalesef böyle bir sorun yaşıyoruz. Türkiye'nin en büyük limanıyız. Gemilerin bıraktığı atıklar bizi son derece etkiliyor. Biz önceki yıl elektronik gemi denetleme sistemi kurduk. Çok da önemli bir parasal yatırım yaptık. Kameralarla, dronlarla gemileri çok yakın takibe aldık ve Türk kanunlarına göre deniz kirletmenin cezası çok yüksek. Ve bunu acımadan ki Türkiye'de 2 belediye var bu yetkiyi almış bakanlıktan. Bir tanesi Mersin Büyükşehir Belediyesi, bir tanesi de Antalya Büyükşehir Belediyesi. Biz hiçbir deniz kirleten geminin gözünün yaşına bakmadan tabiri caizse en yüksek cezaları uyguluyoruz. Diğer bir konu da çevre duyarlılığının eğitimle sağlanabileceğini, eğitimin en iyi başlangıç noktasının da çocuklarda başlamak olduğunu düşünüyoruz. Ve bölgemizin belki de Türkiye'nin saygın Türkiye'de ilk çevre ve iklim bilim merkezini kurduk. Temamız çevre ve iklim. Ve 120 deney istasyonu var. Türkiye'deki Eğitim Bakanlığı'yla da bir protokol yaparak okullardan ilköğretim seviyesinde çocukların çevre bilincinin kazanması için o bilim merkezinde öğretmenlerimiz kanalıyla bu çocuklara eğitim veriyoruz. Yine bir diğer konumuz birçok uluslararası kuruluşta, yerel kuruluşta, üniversitelerle başta deniz kirliliği olmak üzere çünkü kıyı kentiyiz. Önemli projeler yapıyoruz. MedCities'den de önemli projeler yapıyoruz. Daha çok çevreyle ilgili projeleri çalışıyoruz. Bunların bize önemli katkıları oluyor. Tarım bizim bölgemizin en önemli sektörlerinden bir tanesi. Ticaretin, sanayinin, lojistiğin, turizmin olduğu bir bölgede tarım da çok yüksek miktarda yapılan, verimli ovaları olan bir kenttir Mersin. Bu anlamda da tarımsal desteklerimizde yenilenebilir enerji tesislerinin kurulması için çiftçilerin özellikle daha modern sulama tekniklerini kullanmak için enerjiyi daha ucuza mal etmeler için güneş enerji santrallerinin kurumunda önemli hibe destekleri veriyoruz kendilerine. Sulamalarda daha teknolojik olsunlar diye onlara ekipman destekleri veriyoruz. Daha modern tarım yapsınlar diye onları bilinçlendiriyoruz. Diğer bir hassas konu bizim için sera gazı emisyonunu dikkate aldığımız için ulaşımda CNG yakıt kaynaklı otobüsler son günlerde yakın zamanda Avrupa Birliği delegasyondan aldığımız hibelerle elektrikli otobüsler ve şu anda da raylı sisteme dönüşüm yapıyoruz. Yeraltı metro, hafif raylı sistem bu konuda önemli çalışmalar yapıyoruz. Diğer bir çalışmamız çok yeni. EBRD'den ve IFC'den deniz kirliliğini önlemek için 6 atık su arıtma tesisi, 4 derin deniz deşarjı, İnşaatı için yaklaşık olarak 84 milyon avro kredi aldık. Bu çok yeni bir gelişme ve şu anda yatırımlarımıza bu alanda başlıyoruz. Toplamda tüm Mersin'de şu anda içme suyu, atık su arıtma tesisi, derin deniz deşarjı, kanalizasyon gibi çevreyi, küresel iklim değişikliği ilgilendiren tüm konularda yaklaşık olarak 400 milyon euroluk bir yatırımın içerisindeyiz. Şu anda mevcutta 400 milyon euroluk. Tabii ki burada hem Avrupa'dan, çeşitli bankalardan, kendi bakanlıklarımızdan da önemli destekler alıyoruz. Suyu yönetmek çok önemli. 2 yıldır bizim bölgemizde de önemli bir kuraklık var. Mersin Su ve Kanalizasyon İdaresi yani şehre yaklaşık 2,5 milyondan fazla insan yaşadığı şehre içme suyunu sağlayan, kanalizasyon sistemini kuran, yağmur suyu sistemlerini kuran, atık suları arıtan, bunları denize deşarj eden, temiz bir su şeklinde deşarj eden kurumumuza SKADA yatırımlarını arttırdık. Bunlar teknolojik yatırımlar. Elbette ki yüksek değerde yatırımlar ama temiz bir çevre için gelecekte daha sağlıklı bir dünyada yaşamak için mutlaka önemli bütçeler ayırmamız lazım. Elbette herkes bu vizyonu ortaya koyabilir. Ama şunu söylemek istiyorum. Gerçek olan bu yatırımları yapmak için buradaki tüm belediyelerin, belediye başkanlarının ya da onları temsilen gelenlerin bu yatırımları yapacağımız finansa erişim konusunda içinde bulunduğumuz şu anda MedCities yapısı içerisinde ya da diğer uluslararası kuruluşlar içerisinde bu konuda önemli çalışmalar yapmak, finans kurumlarından özellikle Güney Akdeniz'de, şu anda Suriye'de, hele burada Gazze'li konuşmacılar çok sayıda Gazze'ye yönelik değerlendirmeler yaptı. Gazze'de yaşanan bir insanlık dramı, 70 binden fazla insan öldü ve en acı olanı da bir insanlık suçu işlendi ve dünya kamuoyunun gözü önünde işlendi. Az önce konuşmacıları dinlerken gerçekten avucumuzun içinde kum tanelerinin aktığı gibi Gazze'de insanlar öldü ve her şey bitti. Biz burada maalesef üzülerek ifade ediyorum ki ağıt yakıyoruz, ağlıyoruz. Ama bu gerçekler orada duruyor. Umut ediyorum hep beraber dünya barışına katkı sunarız. İnsanlar daha refah toplumu olsunlar, daha mutlu yaşasınlar. Beni sabırla dinlediğiniz için teşekkür ediyorum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. You show us that Turkey is leading the way, and Mersin within Turkey is leading the way even further. So congratulations on all the measures, and also for stepping up on the issue of the depollution of the Mediterranean Sea, which is a crucial issue. I mean, not only because of the traffic arising from the Suez Canal to the Gibraltar Strait, but also from the pollution that is now arriving from the Black Sea into the Mediterranean Sea via the Marmara Sea, which we also need to be and pay a lot of attention as a result of the war, of the Russian aggression into Ukraine. There is this feeling that that there's a lot of pollution also moving from the Black Sea into the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, let us move on to our final panelist, Lumna Farhat, who is an elected council member of the Ramallah Municipality, the administrative capital of Palestine since 2012, and she's currently heading the Culture and Human Resources Committees as well as the Environment Committee, and she's also well known to be an Palestinian activist as well. Thank you very much for joining us. I have a general question for you, in case you want to answer, which is that Ramallah has been adapting to growing climate pressures while managing demographic growth and service delivery constraints. Also looking into the current and the past situation of Ramallah within the West Bank. So, what small practical measures in your municipality has most strengthened people's resilience to heat, water, stress, or mobility challenges?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say that the first time we started thinking about climate change and we talked to people about it, they were puzzled because, you know, we're under occupation and you have now the ongoing genocide. So efforts of convincing people that we have to start working at some point on climate change, regardless of the political situation, is very difficult, because for them now the basic rights is to survive, to have food, specifically in Gaza. And as my colleague, our dear mayor of Bethlehem mentioned, also in the West Bank we have continuous attacks by settlers. We have 3 people killed yesterday in Ramallah, where I come from, by the Israeli occupation forces. So what they're concerned about technically is to survive. So speaking about climate change is one of the biggest challenges that we have. And there's no option. We cannot just sit and say, okay, we will lose hope. We have to continue this journey, and it's a difficult journey, and convincing takes a lot of time. For Ramallah, one of the most meaningful changes has been our deliberate shift towards small neighborhood-scale interventions that reduce heat exposure while also conserving every drop of water we have. And as you know, we don't control our water. It is controlled by the Israeli occupation. And if we want to use this water, we need to buy it from them, and it's very expensive. So a city like Ramallah gets water once every week, and you can imagine how disastrous this is. Across the West Bank, including Ramallah, the quantities of water allocated to Palestinian communities are restricted, as I said, by Israeli authorities, limiting our ability to respond to rising demand during heat waves or droughts, because also we are Mediterranean countries and we have heat waves and droughts, specifically recently. As temperatures climb and groundwater recharge declines, this structural constraint turns climate change into a daily challenge for households, farmers, and the municipality itself. This is exactly why the small interventions we are making at community level, like shaded walkways, trees, parks, and cooler public areas, have had such a big impact. They reduce heat stress for vulnerable groups, but also reduce water demand because shaded, vegetated areas evaporate less and cool the urban environment. At the same time, Ramallah municipality is actively expanding in the use of treated wastewater, which is becoming one of the most strategic adaptation tools. By reusing treated wastewater in road construction and the irrigation of parks and green belts, we are able to do the following. First of all, save fresh water for domestic use, especially during summer and shortages, because we get it once a week. Lower operating costs, and then reduce pressure on groundwater. Maintain green public spaces that help cool the city. And finally, create a more resilient urban environment despite supply limitations. This shift may seem to you that it has minimal effect, but in our case, it has a significant effect, because in light of the scarcity of resources and the scarcity of water by the Israeli occupation, it has created a significant change. So for the small interventions, more shade, more greenery, more cooling spaces are powerful because they are supported by a deeper structural change, using treated wastewater wherever possible to avoid wasting precious clean water. Together, these actions are strengthening everyday resilience to heat, drought, and water scarcity in a way that people can feel in their daily lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and also for clarifying that, of course, under the current and the past circumstances that Palestine, both West Bank, of course, Gaza, unfortunately too, are going through. Of course, it is hard to imagining other type of policy planning issues beyond the mere survival, but yet you are doing it because climate change and climate emergency does not stop at the borders of Palestine, and of course you are also faced on top of all the other circumstances that you need to face. You are also faced with the consequences of climate emergency. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very sorry because we had planned a second round of questions for our dear panelists, but we have to stop here because the cocktail, I know it sounds extremely bad, but the cocktail is waiting for us. And actually the gentleman that is managing the cocktail asked me, but when will you go, when will you move to the cocktail? And I said at 7 p.m. So I would like to start by thanking our speakers. I think they made very clear that Mediterranean cities are not simply responding to climate impacts, but they are innovating, cooperating and leading. First, local governments are the front line of climate action. Second, climate action must be people-centered. They need to embrace social justice, no green transition without fair and just transition. Third, it is evident that cooperation multiplies impact. And all these insights point to a simple conclusions. Cities are ready to do more. Cities want to do more. And regional and international frameworks must evolve to match their ambitions, unlock resources, and reinforce cooperation. I would like to close first because I would like to thank our speakers, and I would like to ask for an applause for the speakers. But before you applause, I would also like to thank my colleagues from the IMET, because they've been very hard preparing together with the MedCities Secretariat and the City of Barcelona. They've been preparing this conference very hard. We are running several conferences simultaneously, so please, I would kindly ask you for a general applause for the speakers and for my colleagues as well. So thank you very much. And now Fatima will take over the floor, and she will announce the next steps. But the next steps is that we all move to the cocktail. Thank you.
You already did it for me. Well, I would just like to thank you for your attendance and participation today. We hope this is of great benefit to you all. As already mentioned, we will move now to the cocktail reception here in the City Hall. Thank you so much. Moltes gràcies. De res, a vosaltres.